It is a novel that has absolutely dominated book clubs and bestseller lists since it first came out in January. The Girl on the Train is still going so very strong, with a movie deal in the works and names like Emily Blunt, Chris Evans, and Jared Leto being tossed around as potential stars. Paula Hawkins is the woman behind The Girl on the Train, and we're thrilled to have her in studio with us this morning. Paula, 23 weeks on the Globe and Mail's bestsellers list. It still hasn't disappeared since it was first published. What do you think it is that really resonates with readers?
It's a really difficult question to answer, that one, but I think there are a couple of things. I think the sort of voyeuristic impulse that I talk about, that commuter's voyeuristic impulse, the urge to look behind other people's curtains and see what's happening in their lives, I think that's really universal, and I think that touched a chord. And I've created this protagonist, Rachel, who's quite unusual. She's, you know, she's an alcoholic, she's very damaged, but I think a lot of people were sort of drawn to her vulnerability and found her quite original. So I think those are two of the elements.
I want to talk more about that, because there are actually three narrators, because as you mentioned, Rachel isn't the most, you know, well, should we say reliable of narrators because of all the problems that you've listed. What was it like to write Rachel and Megan and Anna and go back and forth through those voices without giving too much of the plot away?
It was, well, that was really tricky for me, actually, switching from one to the other. That was something I had to really work on. But I wanted to create this sort of triangulated effect where we've got these three women who are all looking at each other and making judgments about each other, and then over the course of the book we see how those perceptions shift and how they get to know each other a little bit better.
When you talk to people who are in book clubs, the one thing that resonates is people say, I couldn't put it down. I just kept turning the pages and all of a sudden I was done. Tell us a little bit about the plot for the few people out there who might not have read this book, just a little bit without giving too much away.
Okay, so it centers on this woman, Rachel, who's this commuter. She goes in and out of London every day on the train, and she looks out of the window and she sees these houses, and she's kind of become obsessed with a couple who live there in one of the houses, and you know, she sort of makes up stories about them and whatnot. And then one day the female half of this couple goes missing, and Rachel believes that she holds the key to the whole mystery because of what she's seen. But we start to learn that Rachel isn't really what we thought she was. You know, she's a fantasist, and as I say, she's got all these problems, so.
Would there be an overarching theme in all of this?
I think, well, it's very much about perception, about seeing and being seen, and there's a lot of other themes. I mean, as I said, I talk about alcoholism, I talk about infidelity and infertility. So I think it's a whodunit, but I hope there's quite a lot more to it than that.
Whodunit, and we were talking a little bit before off camera, because you think whodunit and you think Agatha Christie and you think all that. And I read an interview where you said, you know what, as a kid, I kind of was drawn to her. Yeah. So I know that she kind of impacted, you know, your writing a little bit. Any other authors?
I love Donna Tartt, Kate Atkinson, who writes literary crime novels. I'm a big fan of Cormac McCarthy, so I mean, I read quite widely.
Okay, so now we're hearing film, and breaking news, Emily Blunt has signed on.
She has.
She has. What about Jared Leto and the others?
Jared Leto and Chris Evans are, I'm not sure if they're 100% confirmed, but I'm expecting them to be in it. Rebecca Ferguson, who was in the latest Mission Impossible film, is going to be Anna, and Haley Bennett is Megan. And that's all I know so far.
Will you be part of the adaptation for film?
No, I won't. I've never written for film before, so I decided to just hand it over to someone else. I'm really happy with the producers and the director, and I think they'll do a great job.
How easy was that to do? Was it a little difficult to say, here you go, take my baby?
To be honest, I actually sold the rights before the book had even been published. It was sold on a proof. So at the time, I wasn't even sure that it would actually ever happen. So it didn't seem such a big deal.
It's happened, Paula Hawkins. It has, and continues for this book. Listen, what a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
All the best.
Thank you so much.